What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race.
All right, Dieselheads, it's episode 27 of the Chronicles of Diesel, the only show that covers everything Vin Diesel. His films, his games, his soundtracks. My name is Ethan, and with me here, and I almost said to take you to the danger zone, it's a different movie, to do things in this movie, is Devin.
I'm going to make some weird shit. I was going to say I am Groot, but I did that last time, and you know what? I'm sorry if I'm not. It's boring just to say I am Groot. So I'm gonna
see now what you could have done. I'm just gonna say this now. What you could have done is said what he's supposed to have been saying, and you could say, "Welcome to the fucking Guardians of the Galaxy."
Could have said that.
But
that's true.
I'm gonna make some weird shit. Is definitely a GIF I've seen a lot online.
It's one of my favorite quotes in this movie, and I always forget about it until it hits. Because it's just he delivers it so well, where I'm just like,
it's the eyes,
yeah,
you know, for sure.
Like with the idea that he's like, oh, I can make literally anything, and it's gonna be insane. It's crazy.
Yes, today's episode of the Chronicles of Diesel, we are covering the 2017 film,
great year,
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The movie is 5 years old.
Doesn't feel
I think
like
it holds
it.
up pretty well. Yeah, 2017. I mean, we're in a weird part. I'm in a weird part. I guess I'm not going to talk collectively. I'm in a weird part where, like, I both still like the Marvel movies, and I'm excited for each and every one of them. But at the same time, I'm almost ashamed of it because it's like, man, these are just the only things out, it feels like, in cinemas. And it's like all anyone wants to talk about. It's like, can we have other films? And other films do exist. Top Gun Maverick. But I will say this. 2017 was probably their best year. Because there was this, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, and those are
then, like,
the better ones for sure.
Like, right after 2017, you got Black Panther, you know what I mean? And Infinity War, like, really soon after.
And then,
yeah, those three movies, I feel like those were the best.
Endgame, right?
Yeah, and Captain Marvel, which I like. I like that movie. Some people don't. And it's very much military propaganda.
I watched it.
For
and I watched
sure.
it in a Air Force
Austria.
base in Germany, which is hilarious
Germany.
in hindsight. To be like, yep, I watched it. One of their most, I would say, yeah, out of all their movies, the most like pro-military one.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But yes, we watched that film for today, but before we hop back only 5 years, man, we're getting closer to the present.
I know.
Let's get even closer.
We're quickly ascending.
Yeah. Let's get even closer to the present.
Look at reality currently.
We're all one brain floating in the cosmos.
Yes.
It's far more... That's the other thing, too. I was telling Devin about the Boltzmann brain theory before we recorded. Because ego is essentially started that way. Molecules form together to make a brain. In 2002, there were also scientists that looked back at that theory and looked at the way certain things are now and can enhance that theory and said, with a lot of fear in their hearts, apparently, that it's far more likely that that is true than our brains existing at all due to how rare it seems to be.
God damn it.
So, like, there was, like, a weird scientific panic again. And, of course, 9/11 happened, you know, a year prior, but still in 2002.
I think if we are all one collective brain, it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
It needs help. Someone help us.
It needs to go to therapy.
Worse, I think it needs more than that. More than that.
It needs money.
If it's dreaming up all this shit.
Let's go pop back to, what month is it? June 1st? Let's go back to May. Let's just take one step back.
May of 2022. Welcome to VNN. I almost said CNN. Welcome to VNN, Vin News Network. All things Vin Diesel right here.
VNN Plus.
VNN Plus. Yep, we actually have a streaming service now where you can watch all the episodes on demand. Or well, you could always have done that, I guess. VNN, I basically go through the news in the last month and see what Vin Diesel's been up to. I also mostly look at his Instagram as that is a primary source. It's directly from the man himself most times. So, yeah, that's kind of what we do here. And I will say, to start off, his Instagram usually, well, at least the last couple months, we've been tracking it for, well, since this, I don't want to say, did we do this in the first, it took us a couple episodes to start doing this, but
it was like 5 or 6, I feel like.
Yeah, I have August written down here, and that was from 2020, so I think we were a couple episodes in at that point. But
that's 5-ish. Yeah.
But I didn't start tracking how many followers they had until October of 2020. So we'll start with that. His followers are at 80.4 million. We finally hit the 80 million mark.
Wow.
To
go us.
Yeah, go us. We win. Back in October of 2020, when we first were tracking it, it was at 65.9 million. So in over less than 2 years, really, he's gone up 20 million followers, which is crazy. But the other big thing I want to talk about is the amount of posts he did this month. In April, he did 4. In March, he did 1. In February, he did 4. And then January, he did 3. So he was doing not too many. In the past, he's done maybe like 8, I would say. But he's done 18 this month. 18 this month. And there's a lot of video clips. A lot of video clips.
Can I ask you a question
Yes.
before you start like listing important ones off?
Yeah.
Because last month, there was some weird stuff in VNN.
Yeah, we had some controversy
weird
again.
timing, like with the recording of the show, of the episode. Are any of these like damage control type of videos or posts?
It's hard to tell because I don't know how much Vin Diesel is a marketer.
Because I saw one, but only one of these.
I wouldn't say Vin Diesel is a... I don't know if he's a marketer first. I don't know if he thinks about that stuff too much. I feel like if he was going to do damage control in the past, he would have done things a little bit differently or maybe not interacted in a certain way at all. He kind of seems to just kind of do his own thing for the most part. But I could see an argument, I would say, for a lot of these clips that I'm about to talk about as damage control. And I would say specifically with, obviously, Fast 10 being worked on. In case you missed last episode, it was literally like, I think, a day before we recorded last month where the Fast X director left. And the reasoning came out later on that the rumors are it was because Vin Diesel and him had... First, it was creative differences, but then it sounded more like, Vin Diesel was showing up late. Vin Diesel was not knowing his lines. He came in out of shape, I guess.
Came in looking like me.
And this was after he posted a video with him, talking about... how excited he is for it and whatnot, and with the director Jeremy Lin, right?
Mm-hmm. Justin Lin.
Why do I keep saying Jeremy? Justin Lin.
Because we want Jeremy Renner to be in one of these movies,
which would be fantastic. Maybe there's still a chance. But yeah, he quit, and then he didn't post after that clip. He did not post for, I want to say, almost 3 weeks. So, like, there was a good amount of time he didn't post. And I guess if he was going to do damage control, maybe he does a post about it being like, yep. Maybe he deletes the post. It's still up. So part of me thinks he doesn't really give a shit too much. But he did do a lot of video clips with a lot of the actors, some of the returning stars, but also some of the new ones, like, Jason Momoa.
I saw that one.
You heard of him? Yeah, and Jason Momoa is having a good time. He's sitting on the car, shirtless, looking hot. Fuck. But yeah, he's laughing, looking good, and they seem to be having a good time. He also did a video with a couple of their cast members, like the original ones. He also did a photo with, speaking of Captain Marvel, I forget everyone's name today.
Brie Larson.
Then he has other actors who are new on set. Alan Ritchson. I don't know what his role is going to be, but he's going to be in it. Jordana Brewster, obviously. And also his daughter, or no, it's not his daughter, his sister, my apologies, is producing this as well, executive producer. She's been an executive producer on a lot of his movies, actually. Samantha Vincent is her name, and she was executive producer on Riddick, Return of Xander Cage, Fast 5, F9. So she's been in a lot. So she's there on set as well. He also did a video of, I guess, like a suite that they're renting out or whatever, and like the whole original cast is there, and they're all messing around. And Vin's just going up to all of them, putting them on camera, and they're like, "Who are we saying hi to?" And he's like, "The world," and they kept saying hello to the world. I guess his family came to London for where they're filming, like his kids and stuff came, so that's cool. And then so each week he's been doing like a video. Each week they wrap up. He does a video. So they 5 days ago they wrapped up week 6, and he actually did a video with Rita Marino. And this is kind of a breaking news. He says in the video that she will be playing his grandmother.
Oh, huh.
And for people who don't know Rita Marino, I had to look her up, but she was famously in West Side Story back in the day. And Vin Diesel says in the video, he's like, "I've been wanting to work with her for a very long time." She's also in the new West Side Story as well. But she's been in a couple other movies in the 50s. She's been in a lot of stuff.
Was she in The Mandalorian?
Don't think so.
Maybe I'm thinking about someone else.
No, but she's she's an older actor. She's been in it for a while, but she's mostly in a lot of Puerto Rican films. Looks like.
Gotcha.
IMDb. But he does a video with her. He also does a video with her guy Ludacris. And Ludacris was all hype, and Ludacris did say there's been a lot of sacrifices that have been made for this. So that kind of, if you want to talk about damage control, you can argue that maybe that's what he's kind of, saying to, like, maybe he's hyping up Vin, being like, maybe Vin was late because of family stuff. We don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to assume anything. I'm just saying that, like, if there's any damage control here, I could see maybe you could pull it from what they've been saying. He eventually did finally post a picture yesterday of his daughter giving a fist bump to the new director of Fast 10, which is Louise Leterrier, who's done The Incredible Hulk.
You're not good.
Now You See Me.
Also not good.
The Brothers Grimsby, which is Sacha Baron Cohen. Unleashed. The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, that TV show. I never saw that, but I've heard.
I had never liked the original Dark Crystal movie, so I never.
Yeah, Transporter 2, Clash of the Titans, the original Transporter as well. Also producer on a lot of. He was a producer. Oh, no, sorry. I saw Strays and I got excited. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, it's a new movie called Strays. Totally different.
He was there from the beginning. But he's done a lot of action movies for the most part. I kind of agree with you that a lot of his movies aren't my favorites. So, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because at this point, it seems like he was available, and they needed someone to fill a role, and he can fill the role. Yeah, so that's why he's there.
But and also there's been a lot of with the videos and some of the pictures he's posted. There's a lot of blue screens in the background with like it looks like a bridge with a lot of barricades and stuff. There's a lot of military people. So I don't know how maybe we're getting some firefights in the next movie. But we have a grandmother, and we still don't know what Brie Larson's role is going to be. But I have a feeling it's going to be like his long lost cousin or sister at this point. I'm starting to think.
I don't know.
If we were getting a grandmother involved, that's never mentioned. Like I feel like they're just expanding the Toretto family in some.
Do they
way.
want to do that though, and have 2 movies in a row of like a family member that he's never spoken of? Now, granted, maybe the grandmother was supposed to be dead or whatever, but like, do they really want to do this shtick a second movie in a row?
I don't
know. Now, they did say that Jason Momoa's character is going to be the villain. They did not say anything about Brie Larson. She also could be a villain, too, for all we know. He also could be family, for all we know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am curious, but I hope that they didn't learn... I hope that any lessons that they did learn from F9, that none of them were... Oh, people really like the long-lost family member thing, let's just focus the story on that, because when F9 did focus on that, everything else made no sense around it in the film, in my opinion. Didn't really feel like, it felt like two different things, honest to God. Like, I even remember, like, John Cena's character, spoilers for F9, he was like the ultra shadow to the shadows in the criminal organization, which is also what essentially they did for Jason Statham's character.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, but they just wanted to have him in it to be the long lost brother. And I hope that this movie doesn't get screwed up with all this convoluted, potentially, family members jetting in there to be like, every Toretto is a muscle car loving,
yeah. Well, also,
dragster.
Also, my theories is that for those, some of my theories is it might be extended families, because also Ludacris does say in his video that they're trying to make a legacy for the future. There's been that talk of like the future of expanding it, you know what I mean? So like TV shows and all that. We've had, the games and whatnot and the cartoons, but like if they ever if Vin Diesel quits from Fast and Furious, you have more Hobbs and Shaw like movies that are side characters. Like remember there was that rumors that they were going to do an all women Fast and Furious movie.
Oh, right.
What, remember that? Like, I'm still down for that.
Well, then there we go. Then what if Brie Larson might be our new main character for a spin-off then? Maybe she's a rookie racer, and maybe this is literally the plot of Cars 3. It's an awful movie. It's like he's so old, and there's this she's not a racer, but she wants to be, and he's going to train her how to replace her. Maybe that's what this movie is too.
One other quick thing I wanted to point out before I forget was one post he did about his sister Samantha Vincent. Is a picture of her and our boy Han, aka Sung. He talks about weekends are usually dedicated to my mythology building, not unlike mapping out a D&D campaign. So there's a shout out to you, Ethan, for the D&D campaign.
Thank you. Oh shit, danger.
You wrote haha. But as I look a moment to reflect on the past week of filming, I came across the image, across this image, and it's of Sung and Samantha like on set somewhere. You can see the blue screen in the background. Okay. For some reason, it made me very nostalgic. Not because it was her who was the first and the loudest voice championing the return of Han for Fast 9, but because it was Samantha who invited Sung to be in Los Bandoleros, a film most of you haven't seen, that attempts to bridge Fast 1 and Fast 4. She called him and said the studio wanted me to direct this short film, but there was no money for any of the actors. He first said, let me talk to the reps, and then they called back and said, of course, he'd fly to the Dominican Republic for a week to film. After all, he was inspired to continue as an actor because of a short film I directed many years ago called Multifacial. Sung has also been an important player in this mythology. I love that he calls it a mythology still. To see him on set in 2022 makes my soul smile. So once again, all these connections to and we've actually been watching. We know the lore. So right. To see him mentioning the lore like that, probably most people in this comment section have not seen Multifacial or even know what that is.
Right. Yeah.
But we have, or Los Bandoleros. So we're oh, but we also know now that Samantha Vincent was a major role in all that, and he gives her a shout out. But nice. A lot of potential damage control. There's another picture of him and Brie Larson on set together. He posted 11 hours ago saying, one of my favorite quotes, "Happy Creative Sunday. So blessed and grateful to have the cast and crew all bringing their A game and yet doing it with smiles and laughter. Ha ha ha, at Brie Larson. Thank you all for believing in us. We hope to make you proud. All love always. #FastX." So I'm going to say at this point, it seems that they're all behind whatever issues there was. It seems like Vin is maybe he messed up and he knows, and he's trying to like you said, maybe it's damage control. Maybe he's just posting and some of the like Ludacris said, we've all had to make sacrifices. It was his daughter's 7th birthday when he was on set, and he gave her a shout out and stuff. So I don't know, and then the fact that Vin also did a video with his daughter, who she said that she's grateful that they're all together in London while he's filming, so they can be together. So maybe once again it could have just been he was busy with family stuff or whatnot. Not saying he's gets okay, it's all good, Vin, because he still held up probably all these other people's lives if he was showing up late to set, because those are long hour sets probably. So especially for movies like this. So
And some of those people have to sit in makeup and wait for him to, yeah.
yeah.
What you're saying is what we can hope for. So until we hear otherwise, I think it's for our best interest that we just assume that is the case.
Yeah.
My fear is that he didn't learn shit, but we gotta hope that it all pulls through and works out in the end. There is a chance that this movie might get delayed because of this whole stuff, but let's just hope that the movie comes out good, that it does good numbers, that everyone that works on it gets paid really well. Whatever countries they go to, it increases their GDP.
It still says that it's supposed to come out May
Fast
19th, 2023. So literally a year from now, less than a year from now, it's supposed to come out. So maybe it will be delayed. I don't know. And it's going to be 2 parts too. We got to keep forgetting that. So I don't know if they're filming that all in one go, if they're going to film it once.
It could be something like that.
And they take a break, or they film 3/4 of 2 parts, and then they come back to it. I don't know if everyone's ever done that, or done it in that way. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll probably get more as it comes out. But that's really all I got for VNN this week. I know it was kind of a lot. There was just a lot of stuff, and there was still so much I didn't even talk about that you can go check out his Instagram for.
I wonder, though, I mean, not saying that that's not the case, that they could be doing both movies filming at once. I almost wonder if, because we haven't heard anything about that type of stuff, besides the fact that it is 2 movies, that there are, like, supposedly, because they often, like, if it's done correctly and planned, budgetarily, you're filming stuff that's in the second one while you're also filming stuff for the first, not one after the other.
Yeah.
If it works out that way. Because what's his name? Sir Ian McKellen had said that for Lord of the Rings, his first scene on set was him meeting the hobbits, and then immediately they filmed him saying goodbye to Frodo.
Yeah.
The last movie.
I saw that clip. I think it was on Twitter. They did like a charity like fundraiser where they
it
did
was
the
like
scripts.
a live reading.
Yeah, that was great. Where he was.
Then I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, because I knew obviously they filmed them all together. But yeah, I mean, like, you have the Shire built. Why would you tear it down
or keep it somewhere?
Pay to keep it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sets are expensive to maintain and put somewhere, and sometimes you take one set apart and put something else on top of it because you only get so much space too.
Right. Or you forget how it was all put together.
Or you just be like Marvel
nerds
and you
like
just
us
have
pay
one
attention.
giant green screen room, and then that's all you do now.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, if that is it for VNN, we will move on to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, written and directed by James Gunn, produced by Kevin Feige, as all of the Marvel movies are. This movie had a budget of $200 million and a box office in total of $863.8 million. So
what was
a fourfold.
What was that compared to the first one? Do you know, like, the budget, especially budget-wise? Because I remember that, like, at this point, people, like, respect Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? Like, they know Guardians of the Galaxy, so, like, there's less marketing they have to do for that. But at the time, when the first Guardians of the Galaxy came out, no one knew who the fuck they were. And, like, James Gunn, I think, up until that point, too, I wouldn't say was, like, a household name as much. Like, obviously, if you knew who he was from Scooby-Doo and all that. But for me, I didn't know who he was until Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 really came out. I'll go to that in a second. Actually, I would like to know, like, if you saw it in theaters and whatnot. So we can go
so the first movie budget was, and it's weird, Wikipedia. Yes, I pulled this from Wikipedia. I always pull the budgets and box offices from Wikipedia. It has a gross and a net for budget. For budget, the gross is $232 million and the net is $195. I don't know how that works. But for the box office, it is $772.8. So this movie made
$30 million more.
A good, decent, well, almost 100.
Almost 100.
Yeah, about 90 million more. So cool. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you are the businessman sitting at Disney smoking your big cigars, you're like, wow, you're only looking at profit compared to previous profit. That's your measurement, right? That's how corporations work. That's why we're eventually going to implode as a society, because you can't build forever. Everything has to go down. you could argue that, oh man, only a $90 million increase is not worth doing. But obviously we know that this is a brand that just needs to build upon itself. Every success, every good film is something that can just be brought back over and over and over again, you know? This is a film that, yeah, you will throw on a TV in the background. You know what I mean? This is one of those staples that will always kind of exist, which is what Disney always kind of did with their
Disney
animated
Plus,
movies,
I
right?
didn't even search for it. I just went to the Marvel section, and it was I didn't have to go very far to see both Guardians of the Galaxy listed as like, hey, do you want to watch this?
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely, I think even if it's maybe not your favorite, like it's definitely, I think, one of the more popular ones amongst people.
For sure. I have a couple bits of information we can talk about, little trivia facts before we begin. Let's see.
I was going to ask you though, did you see this in theaters, or what's your experience?
I did.
Because we
I
did.
did.
We've both seen this movie before, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen every single one of these Marvel movies except for Hulk in theaters. I lie. I did not see Shang-Chi in theaters. I waited and I saw that on Disney Plus. So I did see this in theaters at the time that it was out with my mom, which is funny because this is a movie about fathers, and I saw it with my mom. I took her to see it. And yeah, I loved it at the time.
Because
it was definitely, I would say this actually, this was the movie that really cemented in my mind. Let's say a movie comes out, right, and you love it a lot. It has a vibe, it has a feeling, it's an adventure or whatever it is. And they're obviously going to make a sequel due to whatever reason that you know they're going to make a sequel to it. And if you know it's not based off something that already exists, or if you don't know what that thing it is based off of, and you don't know what's next, you're going in, you're leaving the first movie, and you're rewatching it when it comes out on video, with the excitement, perhaps, or a hopeful anticipation of a sequel, with an assumption of sorts that tonally it will follow the first one, or like you can think of the adventures that the second one will take. And it was this movie where I'm like, wow, this is nothing like what I was expecting it to be. And it was this movie that made me kind of realize 5 years ago that, like, yeah, probably lots and lots and lots of sequels to things in general start with just what's our theme, what's our story, and then kind of starting from there, where it was like, man, I was totally expecting a different movie than what this was. The thinking structurally about him, like, I remember being like, I don't like the structure of this movie. I wanted them to go on an adventure from here to there to there to there. I didn't like that they just were here and then we go back and forth between two different, like, characters, Rocket and Peter. But I think the movie is very good overall, and I do like it. But it was a movie that made me be like, man, I think a lot of stuff is like this. is not what I think it's going to be. What about you? When did you see this movie?
So my story with this, and I'll preface this by saying, at this point, it's 2017. I was in college, and I went away for school. I went in Pennsylvania, away from Rochester, and I didn't have a car. And there was a movie theater in the town that my college was in, but like, I'm not one of those people that will ask people to be like, can you drive me to the theater, or hey, you want to go see a movie with me? Like, I will wait until someone asks me if they want to see a movie, but no one ever really did, or I didn't really like, I'd watch movies when they came out, or I'd watch them illegally or whatever the fuck on the computer later on. But also I was broke, so like I had $100 in my bank account throughout college, so it's like I'm not probably going to see too many movies anyways. But at this point, like, I didn't see many Marvel movies, like outside the Iron Mans, maybe a Cap. I saw I saw the original Captain America. I didn't see Winter Soldier up at this point. I saw the Avengers, but I don't think I saw Age of Ultron or any of those, just because they were in theaters when I was in school, and no one really like asked or like I knew was interested in that too much. Like, in the sense of like, we need to see it in theaters. This was kind of like, oh yeah, I know Avengers, Spider-Man are cool. So at this point, like, I was kind of like, eh. But during this movie came out, around the time it was graduation time, and at my college we had a week where all the other students left besides seniors, and there was like a lot of activities you can do on campus and whatnot. And so there's not a lot of shit to do besides those activities. A lot of them were just like whatever. But all my senior friends on my frisbee team were like, "Oh, what are we gonna do this week? Oh, I heard Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2's out. Like, I heard that was good. Like, we should go see it. Like, Devin, would you want to go?" And I'm like,
You finally got asked
"Yeah,
to the dance.
I got to finally ask to the dance." And I was like, "Oh, I'll go. I haven't seen the first one. Like, do you think I should see it?" They're like, "Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Like, maybe you should see it." And so, like, the day before, or like the day of, I think we were going at like 4:00 in the afternoon. It was like I woke up early, found it online somewhere, and I watched the first one on my computer. And I was like, going.
I think I remember you telling me.
Yeah,
this
and I remember
years
being
ago.
I remember going in being like I didn't really like the trailer that I saw of it. And I was like, it's a raccoon. Like, that doesn't really make sense with like Marvel. Like, what the fuck? Like, who are these motherfuckers?
There was that kind of stupid SNL skit of like, they could just put any random fuckos together and it will make money. And that was like making fun of that.
Yeah. So like, I watched it that day, the first one, and I was like, oh, I actually like this a lot. This is really funny and like good. And I wanted to be like, at the time I was like, oh, it was probably my favorite Marvel movie up until this point that I can remember, you know? And then we saw it in theaters Volume 2, and it was just like back to back, and it was like, cool, this is great. I love this. And then I saw it again a couple years later where when we binge watched like all the Marvel movies in chronological order. And I remember that one still being up there in my top 10. So we'll see when we discuss it where it ends up, though, on our Vin Diesel rankings and all that.
Vin Diesel rankings. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
This is a good movie for sure. I would say this is definitely one of their best. This is a top 10, I still think, of their movies.
This actually led to James Gunn getting like a lot more shit. Like, maybe he got fired. Remember, like wasn't it like a year after this movie? Wasn't there supposed to be a Volume 3 much sooner?
Yes, yeah. No, because he was obviously that the way the machine works over at Disney is, yes, as soon as you're done, you start the next one, and they're just constantly. Kevin Feige must just exist on coffee. I don't know how that man works. And then it was like they found old posts or whatever things he had said from like over a decade earlier. A different type of person he was at the time, a similar way in which the movies he's made were also as edgy and weird as the stuff he was kind of saying too that got him initially fired. And then the whole cancel culture thing kind of overblownly try to lump that in there too, even though it's a different thing, because the man has since apologized for that well before any of this had happened, you know. At a point apologized earlier about that, also changed as a person. You can see in his body of work that he changed as a person. So it is not nearly the same type of thing as people want to lump him in there so they can make a point. But yes.
And then eventually DC...
That's how Suicide Squad...
And DC was struggling,
yeah,
I would say at this point, like with like their identity as like competing with Marvel movies. And they're like,
or at the very least know that they could make a whole lot of money that they're not.
It felt like within a week that he got fired from Disney. Yep. They're like, okay, cool. We don't even give a shit.
Yeah, you're free now. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you want to do Suicide Squad? We don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird to see like how some of these sequels, the pace in which they come, where it's like, we got 2 Spider-Man movies in 2 years. Like,
yeah,
there aren't very many Marvel movies between them, but then it's going to be 6 years in between the 2 Guardians movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. But yeah, no, this is definitely a good movie. So here's a couple fun facts before we begin. There's some crazy stuff in here. I guess prior to the film's coming, release in theaters, they had announced that Nathan Fillion was cast in the film. He's not in it. It kind of reminds me of in 2019 we're gonna get a Indiana Jones 5 guys type of announcement,
or
they don't actually do anything.
The Dark Universe with Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise.
They did a photo shoot for that announcement,
and all them, yeah.
And
only one of them came out, and it was The Mummy.
Because
was supposed
then
to
that
be tied into that, but like it quickly didn't.
Yeah. then there the Invisible Man was just detached from that, and made it a different thing entirely. Yeah.
It was still good, but I was like, oh yeah, this has nothing to do with that. Thank God.
Yeah. Tom Cruise. It might have been the only stinker he's had in the past like decade or so. He's been in a lot of stuff. All were good. Peter Quill, aka Chris Pratt, uses a Sony Walkman, one of the original models in this film. They struggle to find working, clean Sony Walkmans. They asked Sony. Sony didn't have any, so they made them.
I looked on eBay though, while the movie was going. I looked on eBay. There was one going for like $35. Does it work? I have no idea. But like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, it'd be kind of neat to have one because everyone collects vinyl and I still buy CDs. I actually bought one today, and I was like, man, I should go the next step.
Be the tape guy?
Be the tape guy. You know what
I
mean?
You know who are the tape people? The Japanese. The way vinyl is here, tapes are in Japan. You can go to a Tower Records and get new releases on tape.
Yeah, I know
some bands do release on tape still. Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's like a limited. It's a limited thing. It's like I could be that guy.
Hideo Kojima has so many damn tapes. I don't even think he listens to any, but he has so many damn tapes.
That's how it is.
They made those Walkmans for the film. They made 6 props. So those are fake Walkmans. Yeah.
It's been long enough. Like, no one would, unless you're like a nut for that shit. Like you wouldn't have known anyways. You're like, oh, I lived in the 80s. I know what that looks like.
Exactly. Oh, I knew what it looked like because I had just every now and then I fall down the rabbit hole of tech and game stuff, and Sony's attached to that. Game Boy comes from Walkman, even though there's 2 separate companies. That was the idea. But fun fact, not fun fact. This is separate. This is an Ethan fact. I had a dream last night that I had.
Fun fact. You had a dream.
I had it lying around somehow still. The second phone I ever owned, an iPhone 3GS. I had a dream about that. So I woke up this morning, hopped on eBay, and typed in iPhone 3GS white because that's the one I had. And they're about $35 as well. But if you want one that's still in a sealed box, you're looking at $3,000.
What?
I'm like, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then I went down the other rabbit hole of like, well, I've always thought the iMac G4 looked really cool. Look that up, kids at home. That is a piece of art right there. That's about $200. I'm like, nope, I gotta turn this eBay off, otherwise I'm gonna make a huge mistake. I do not need an iMac from 2003 or whenever that came out. Another fun fact about this film, obviously, the reason why this movie is in this series of podcast episodes, this show, that's what it's called, is because Vin Diesel voices Groot and Baby Groot in this film, and Teenage Groot in the post-credits.
And not Alpha Groot.
Not Alpha Groot. Which I love that no one has any idea what Vin Diesel's talking about when he says that Alpha Groot. Couple fun facts about this. In the first film, he did the I Am Groot lines for 6 total languages of the film. Mm-hmm. So 5 additional languages from English. In this film, it was 16 languages for the film.
He came to play this time. Okay.
I
thought
don't
he was playing
know.
Before, but you know what I mean. He came to play a real big league time now.
I don't know what changes, because I don't think does he say like me Groot, not that me Gusta is I like Groot, but Je m'appelle Groot. Does he say Je m'appelle Groot? I mean, for the facial capture that would work.
Would it be Je suis Groot? I don't even know.
No, my name is Groot. Is Je m'appelle Groot.
Je suis la Groot.
I still remember the 5 years of French we took.
I don't.
I cheated so hard in those classes. Another thing too, Vin Diesel got a separate special version of the script where the lines "I am Groot" are changed to the sentences in English that he is supposedly actually saying. So he can make the inflection on "I am Groot" mean something if he knows what he's actually supposed to be saying, when he says that. So that's interesting. Speaking about facial capture, Bradley Cooper actually provided the facial capture for Rocket. He did not in the first movie. They just did it themselves in post, I guess. So he actually had the rig on his face that they do in games.
I think I'm always shocked that like Bradley Cooper is like he doesn't sound anything like him or what he looks like visually. So I'm like, I need to at some point I just need to YouTube it to see if there's like a video of him doing the voice, because it's like what the SpongeBob voice actor. It's just a dude.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, what? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm impressed. He's like,
Bradley
"I'm
Cooper
right.
was
I'm-
really
I'm a
good at...
raccoon." I'm like, how does he do that? Bro was in The Star Is Born. He can sing.
He was also in American Hustle, which is an awesome movie done by the same director that did Silver Linings Playbook, that Bradley Cooper is also in. So that's how I kind of knew him, because I liked those two movies. Another random fun fact about this movie. This one actually kind of hurts.
Okay, I'm ready.
So there was a lot of different people that were like thought of to be, in the movie, actors that we could have this guy, we could have this guy, we could have this guy. Mm-hmm. One cameo that they wanted to have that they did not, for obvious unfortunate reasons, is they wanted to have David Bowie be in this movie.
Fuck.
But he died in 2016 in January. So yeah.
At least they didn't
David
do
Bowie.
some weird CGI bullshit.
I mean, they. So what I had read was phrased that Feige and Gunn wanted this. We don't know if they approached him before. This also might have been after he died, been like, man, it would have been so cool if we could have gotten Bowie in the film.
You got fucking Elon Musk instead. In the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
That's who the fuck we got.
He was in Iron Man 3.
We got that
Yeah.
piece of shit garbage man. And I'm supposed to be
We
like,
also got
he's Elon Musk.
we did get David Hasselhoff though, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah, the guy who single-handedly took down the Berlin Wall. Did you know that?
Really all by himself.
Yeah, his performance single-handedly ended the whole Berlin occupation. I don't know if you knew that.
I can't tell if you're exaggerating.
No, go
or
on
not.
YouTube and look. Well, he said in interviews in the past he did, but look up TwitchCon David Hasselhoff, and he's fucking plastered at this TwitchCon. He got taken off stage. It was so bad,
Really?
but he kept talking about Knight Rider and how he like sung at the Berlin Wall, and then the next week it was taken down. How it was basically him.
Wow, and Al Gore invented the internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, David Bowie would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been.
I mean, freaking David Cage got David Bowie. God fucking damn it.
Yeah. But so did Christopher Nolan got David Bowie. One of my favorite movies is The Prestige. He plays Nikola Tesla in that movie. So
Fucking Elon Musk again.
It's nothing like that. If anything, you could say Elon is stealing valor from Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And we all know that one of the greatest actors of all time, Kurt Russell, is in this film.
Yes.
Who was also in a previous pair of to Chronicles of Diesel films, 7 and 8 of Fast and Furious.
Yeah, he kind of is like at this point, I would say, like part of the Chronicles of Diesel cinematic universe. Like he's, I wouldn't say a major role in it, but he's definitely like one of the side characters that you see throughout.
And the way he postures and talks in this movie is this exact same as he was in Furious 7. I rewatched that recently. It's exact same.
It's awesome,
just
though.
so
It's so good.
I'm not taking anything I'm saying seriously right now. But he was the person that eventually became Ego the Living Planet in this film. A whole bunch of other amazing male actors were also considered for the role. One of them was almost going to be it, but he picked a very terrible movie to be in instead, and that really hurts me because I would rather have him being in it. But I'm going to go down the list of other actors that were considered.
Okay.
Gary Oldman.
Okay.
Viggo Mortensen.
Okay.
Christoph Waltz. Christopher Plummer, rest in peace. He died last year, I think, or the year before. Max von Sydow. Alec Baldwin.
Thank God.
Ron Perlman. Stephen Lang.
Ron Perlman would have been hilarious.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yo!
Bruce Willis.
Damn.
Robert De Niro. Michael Biehn.
De Niro would have been good too.
Mel Gibson.
Thank God.
And Liam Neeson.
Okay.
But the ultimate one, my favorite actor of all time, is Matthew McConaughey.
I was going to say, I would have thrown him on there. I could see him doing this for sure.
He passed on the role in favor of the awful adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Tower, which starred Idris Elba.
Okay.
So,
I remember
unfortunately,
that movie. Yeah, it came out that time.
There's a lot of bad Stephen King adaptations.
They just need to stop.
Sucks.
They can go to there's other authors out there that aren't J.K. Rowling and Stephen King. You could maybe look at.
Well, it's also, he has good books, but I'm
just saying,
I don't know.
they've been done a lot. Like let's look
Absolutely.
at something else. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
do
Do
some
the
Discworld
Bible.
novels. Well, Mel Gibson, actually.
Yeah.
Don't wait till after Mel Gibson's dead. He's gonna force his way on there on set, motherfucker. I'm glad Mel Gibson wasn't on there, but yeah. So all of those people were at one point
I think they
considered.
made-
And those
honestly,
are like,
though, I think they
who's
made
an
the-
awesome old man?
I think they made the right choice because I feel like he kind of is like he has the same vibe as Chris Pratt. Like he kind of has that like charismatic like energy.
And there's some
a
people
dude
that
you would
wouldn't.
have a beer with, and I feel like you could just have a conversation.
A
with
Belgian ale.
a Belgian ale with, and
Yeah,
he wouldn't. He wouldn't. I feel like he would just talk to you like as a real person, and not just be like, I'm
Yeah,
too
'cause
high, but like I'm an actor. I'm Hollywood. Like
Bruce Willis, Alec Baldwin,
I like Bill 100%.
Robert De Niro.
would have been at the time would have been like, fuck you. I'm not talking. Or like, can you
Yeah,
get
but
a picture?
also they're
Yeah.
nothing like Chris Pratt and like the kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman would have been interesting, and obviously I want Viggo Mortensen in anything.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, so that's how it ended up becoming. An interesting fact, because I know jack shit about the comics. In the comics, that's his father is not Ego the Living Planet.
Okay,
in the comics,
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this until looking this stuff up. His father is actually a person named Gisson of Spartax of the alien Spartoi Empire. So it's another random person. But James Gunn
alien.
wanted Ego the Living Planet to be his father. Fox owned the character, the film rights to the character, so they made a deal.
Was he an X-Men
that-
character or something?
I don't know, but in
Why did they own it?
return,
It's weird.
in return, the X-Men character Negasonic Teenage Warhead, they got to be creative with her powers. So some elements of her powers was tied to the rights that Fox didn't own. I don't know. I don't understand this shit. Sony, or they own all of it except for Spider-Man
Yeah.
and the Hulk.
Yeah.
So I guess it doesn't matter anymore. But yeah. But yeah, and then there's another thing we're going to save for the end that is also James Gunn wanted this, and since he said it online, we have to make this happen. So let's hop back into the past, well before the turn of the 21st century, with Kurt Russell driving a car in Missouri with Peter Quill's mom. They're listening to a very famous song, whose name I forgot. Said so many times in this movie.
So you're a fine girl, blah blah blah, or whatever.
Movie starts with the letter B. It's her name,
Brandy.
Brandy. There you go. I wanted to say like Deborah, but with a B. Bebra.
Missouri,
instead.
1980.
Yeah. What a classic looking car. I like
It's a
this.
good-looking
Is a
car.
great fucking opening shot. It looks old, but in a way that it still looks like modern. It just has a weird vintage look to it. I love this opening to it. It's fantastic.
I can't believe I fell in love with the spaceman.
Yeah, and that's true because she says that her daddy was an angel from the stars or whatever in the first movie. It's like, yeah, okay, she's losing it. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, she was right, and they just thought she was just crazy and stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and she had the tumor in her. We then hop back to whatever modern day is supposed to be.
34 years later, I think, exactly. So
2014,
Yeah.
which actually makes sense because this movie is supposed to take place immediately after the first one, even though they're a few years. The way that they've, I don't know if retroactively or Kevin Feige's had this in plan the whole time. The movies take place in the year they come out in, with the exceptions of any flashback
Marvel.
ones being in the 90s or, anything like that. But this movie takes place immediately after the first one, except for the final post-credits with Teenage Groot, which takes place whenever the current year is. So 2017 is when. So it had been a few years, literally during the credits, if that makes sense. And Avengers Infinity War
it's not
is
even like
years later.
So both,
They've done so much shit
so it's not
between
even a
then
couple
and now.
months between the first movie and the second movie, or is it supposed to be because it makes it seem
May-
like they've
maybe
been
a couple
team. They've been a
months.
team for a little while. Like that's the kind of
Yeah. Baby Groot's got to grow from being a stick to having feet, but
yeah.
yeah. So that is interesting. In any case, they have taken a job to protect some batteries from an interdimensional being, which is cool. Every single one of these Marvel movies has different cosmic rules I don't know where different dimensions and the multiverses, and I feel like none of this makes sense to me anymore, which sucks.
Fine.
But at least at the very point, if at the very least they just allow freedom to the filmmakers to do whatever they want within the movie they're making, then it works.
Like thousands of feet, it feels like. Drax hits every tree branch, every tree on the way down when they crash later, and I love that.
They
shit.
hop through 700 wormholes.
Yeah, it's very comic booky and and more cartoony, if anything.
And it's weird to see that, and then like Captain America's The Winter Soldier, where it's all espionage and fighting and like
very grounded.
Dude can get hit in the foot and probably be dead. Like the gravity is different,
Yeah. I also wanted to say at this point too that like I think James Gunn, if you somehow listen to this, I just want to say, James, I think you have to make a kaiju movie at some point because I know you want to. Because he's done this now. He even has a Blob kind of reference, I think, later on in the movie.
Yeah.
And then also after watching Suicide Squad, I'm like,
the giant starfish
I'm like,
guy.
It's so fucking good. I'm like, bro, can you just make one? Like, I need you to just like focus specifically on like a big monster attacking something. Like, I think he has the eye for it or knows what to put in it to make it good. So I would love if like he does that. But he's done it now in like two superhero movies. So I'm like, bro, if you want to do like the
I don't know. Are you sure you want another American filmmaker to make a kaiju movie?
Yes.
You didn't care about Guillermo del Toro's all that well.
Oh, which one? The
Pacific Rim.
Oh, I thought it was fine. I hadn't seen the second one though.
I didn't see the second one either. Any case, we get the Baby Groot dancing. A small fun fact, which you I think already knew: James Gunn did the mocap for the dancing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think it's mostly good. There's footage of him doing it. I feel like it's a mostly good opening thing. I do feel that there's a couple parts in this movie I think is expertly crafted overall, where there's just weird timing transitions and cuts where I feel like there's a part where we hang too much and then it keeps going, or it I don't know, but it's not really anything that's necessary, but it does I remembered it better than what it actually was.
It was
but
a
it's
little
also
bit
been
long,
5
but I
years.
think they were just trying to get all the credits out.
Yeah. And it like there was a few times in this movie where they play like the entire song to whatever they're listening to, like the whole thing. Like it'll be loud and in the moment when the moment's
It's almost
happening,
like a
and then when we
musical.
fade away, it's in the background a little
It
bit.
almost
you
is
know?
a musical,
and it comes
like
back.
this movie. Like it has a lot of more so than the first one. Like the first one, I think had a better opening because we didn't know who Star-Lord was, and like he's playing the music, and you're not expecting it, but now you're kind of expecting it, and I think it's still good, but like it doesn't have the same like oh, okay, this is where we're going with this. Like, how serious is this going to be? Oh no, it's not going to be serious. When this, I think they're just kind of reestablishing the tone, being like, just so you remember, this is not serious.
Expect what's in the background and what's in the foreground right now. Baby Groot's going to be dancing a bunch. We're going to make so much fucking money off merchandise on this little fucker.
He was the original Baby Yoda when you think about it.
He was. But you know who was the original Baby Groot? Baby Nemo in the beginning of Finding Nemo. My God. I don't know.
I guess,
But yeah, they protected the batteries. Now they're going to collect what is owed to them. Sovereign, which is this sovereignty of golden painted assholes.
I love their look though. I think it's dope. I love like gold shit. So the Sovereign High Priestess, I think she looks BA. Like I love that.
Based off Art Deco design is what the whole thing is.
I love
apparently
it.
like.
I love it. It's bougie as fuck, and I want to destroy it low key. But also, I respect the.
I forgot what the actress's name is, but who played. And I don't remember what her. Okay, here it is. The main one there is named like Aisha or whatever.
Yeah.
Played by actress Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah.
They picked her. Not primarily because that'd be a little weird or rude almost, but they picked her because she's like 6'2", and then they put her on like platform shoes to like, well, I guess they'd be stilts to make her like 6'7", because they all look the same, but she's taller, so she stands out.
Yeah.
So they made her even taller for that, which is interesting.
And I just love that Peter like is trying to flirt, and it's just so like bad and just
bro, why
like,
are you doing this? Yeah, but they need to establish everyone's character a little bit. He's going to be a little awkward in that regard, not really aware that he's also trying to have a real relationship with the person standing next to him. But, you know, he sees, like, first movie, he was sleeping with a chick that's blue. Now he's got someone that's green. There's someone that's yellow across the hall. You know, he's gotta try everything. But yes, she's a little rude to them. They're a little rude right back, but it's okay. They leave, and Rocket stole some of those little tiny batteries.
And then Drax,
who
them. I still think is the best character. Like every time,
and I agree.
Yeah, his laugh in this movie, he does like 20 times, and it still makes me laugh.
It's the same laugh.
Yeah, and it's like the most like belly laugh, obnoxious laugh that you could like. I think out of everyone has in this movie. And he just always it's pointing at him laughing, and it's always at something dumb, and it just makes the joke 10 times funnier. And it's just so shout out to Bautista, because I think he nails this role 100%. And I can't wait for Volume 3. And
might be his last movie.
Yeah, I can't wait for more because he's too good.
Speaking about Dave Bautista, in the first Guardians film, it took him 180 minutes, aka 3 hours, to get into makeup. They cut that time in half to about 90 minutes for this one, but in order to get the makeup off, he had to sit in a sauna to melt.
Dang,
yeah.
I lost so much weight doing that.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. I don't know how what happens to the muscle weight though, or if it's sweat just the bad weight.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you just still.
But they paid the Guardians with a prisoner of theirs, Nebula, who was trying to also steal some batteries. So they have her. They're going to go turn her in to the Nova Corps or to Xandar, wherever it was that the first movie had taken place. But now they're being chased by all of these golden boys and gals through a quantum asteroid field. And I do love... I love that they establish here the bickering between Peter and Rocket, who are our two main characters in this movie, it really feels like.
Yeah.
But also, set aside, I do love speaking about like the aesthetic and look of the Sovereign. I love that they're piloting drone ships somehow very far away. Whatever, doesn't matter. But I love that it's essentially like an arcade to the point when there's only one dude left, they're all standing behind him as if like he is the high score in Galaga or something like that. Dude, he found the secret boss in the arcade mode of this fighting game.
And
like,
then when he loses,
beat every round.
And the one guy this is what makes James Gunn a great director, I think, too, is because he can tell a story within like 5 seconds. Like he showed that like this guy he is the best there at that moment, but as soon as he died, the one guy's like, "You suck." Yeah, Brad.
They don't care about him.
Yeah, they're like,
they're all very like.
And his face was very
surface
disappointed.
Value.
Yeah, it's just like there's a story there, and he just told so much of it within 5 seconds. Not even.
Very good.
I'm just like,
very
that's
good.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. So we get a whole bunch of shootouts, but it looks like they're about to die when a tiny little 1-inch man on an egg far away somehow destroys all 3 dozen of the ships, and they hop through their wormhole or whatever it's called, the jump point, which I would love to know how you accidentally discover that. Just get ripped into pieces. I don't know. And they crash land on some random planet very, very, very violently into the forest.
I think it's called Bear Hurt, I think they call it. Yeah. I love this scene where, I mentioned it earlier, where Drax is hitting every fucking thing on the way down, and then once it's finished crashing, he's like, "That was awesome." I'm like, "That's so stupid." Like, just like, dude literally got the shit beat out of him, and he's like, "That was great."
Yeah. Yep. So they all crash, and they're figuring out what to do, and then we cut to Yondu, shirtless in an outlaw outpost, a skeezy. This is like Reno. Not Las Vegas, but this is just Reno right outside of like, okay, you're here for the robotic whores and the whatever illegal stuff you can get at the bar or whatever, and the pit stop. And then randomly in this movie, and when obviously now I knew that Sylvester Stallone was in the film because I've seen it before, like 2 or maybe 3 times before, but he sees some people beckoning him down from the window, and I guess he somberly goes to join them, but he's thinking. You could tell he's thinking about something. He's being very vulnerable. And he walks down the steps, and you, as the audience member, can hear in the cacophony of people just talking, one voice a little bit louder than the others, and then just like fucking Sylvester Stallone. I'm like, why is this man in this movie? And then he's a part of a group that you also see other famous actors briefly show up in like random tiny little scenes. It's like, wait, the why I forget his name is, but one of the dudes from Mission Impossible, the black guy that is Tom Cruise's like best friend in those movies.
Yeah.
And then Michelle Yeoh is one of the characters.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know Rob Zombie was in both of them, like as a voice at some point as well. So
really?
Yeah, so it's just like everyone's in it. And then obviously Sean Gunn, his brother.
Right, his brother is always going to be in these. But it's like, how did this work? Did you ask them and they said yes? Was David Bowie going to be one of these people?
I could see it.
You know what I mean?
I could see that.
I would have been, oh my God. I mean, it would have been hilarious too if like his character's name was actually Ziggy Stardust and he had a group of spiders. Because that was the band, was the Spiders from Mars, you know? But yeah, he comes down and he has already been exiled, but it's reaffirmed to him now that he's not a part of the code. And I love that the code for these murderous space pirates, the one thing that they don't do is they don't do child kidnapping and slavery. It's very specific. Hey, you know, they might even be trafficking people, but they don't do kids.
They do. That's what he does. That's why he gets in trouble for. He traffics all the kids to Ego there. Which we find out later on. Which I totally missed the first two times I saw this. I'm like, oh,
really?
Yeah, just missed that part.
Yeah, they ramp up late in the movie, and that needs to get out there because they're building to him being a bad guy, but they really want to make sure you know that he did something bad, that he's not just talking about being bad and about to do something bad. He's the good bad guy in the first movie. You know what I mean? Like, he's like that third party, but in the end, like, he saves the day or helps saves the day. So it's not right. I was talking about Kurt Russell's character, but yes, you're also right in this regard. But then, so then back on Forest Planet, Bermuda or whatever you said, the One-Inch Man shows up. This weird egg pod thing pops up. Who walks out? Ego and Mantis. Mantis in the comics, I also read this about an hour ago now, is a human in the comics from Earth. She is like half German, half like Scottish or something like that. But James Gunn changed it because he wanted Peter to be the only human in the main cast. Which I like. So she does not have the things. She does not look that way, but they changed her for that. Which is also crazy because last year there was that Eidos Montreal game, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and she's an alien in that one. So clearly inspired by the movie, even though from what I've heard, everything else about that game was comic inspired. I also heard that's a very good game. I might give it a shot. Square has basically said it was a failure, even though it sold millions of copies, and they sold the studio. So, whatever. It's the last Eidos game that Square published, I guess. But yes, Ego and Mantis are there, and we kind of learn a bit about them. And then Ego walks off, and then Quill and Gamora have a talk privately in the woods. And this element, even though it's trying to be a lot in the film, popping up in various places, I do not entirely buy the Peter and Gamora love story that this is trying to tell, because I do not entirely get why it was a secret, because it didn't feel like it was a secret in the first movie at the end that they were, getting close. Didn't really buy that it needed to be a secret in this one. And I feel like this movie has a lot going on that you could probably have cut this. But at the same time, if you did, then you could say, oh, it wasn't existent at all when they do the eventual third movie, I feel like there's a lot this movie tries to do. And there was a couple things that they almost added in, but they cut because it would have been a whole lot more. That I feel like this either needed more time or less time. I feel like it's in the awkward spot where, like, I'm expecting a real conclusion to their interpersonal story because of how much that's been on screen. but if they had less on screen, I would have been okay with it there. I don't know. Maybe you think differently.
I thought it
this.
was fine. I think it was done more for obviously, like, James Gunn is trying to do character development for all of them. And I think that is more done for almost a comedic value or more dramatic value, rather than, like, just this is straight romance. Like, I think he wanted it to be just like he keeps referencing Cheers and, like, because, like, there's been some time that it's passed from the first one, like, at least, like, we interpret it, but, like, it's not that much time. And I feel like at the end of the first one, it was just kind of like maybe they're interested, but I think from the beginning they're establishing that Peter Quill still is kind of like that. He's going to be a flirt with all the women characters, because he's a handsome guy and all that. He's kind of being that kind of, charismatic, but also a douchebag kind of dude. And I think she's trying to find her role, I think, in their group as well in this movie. I don't know, like I said, maybe there needed more couple scenes, but I think it was fine, personally.
I think I
like her
character growth with her sister, the story they told between the two of them, was much better than her and Peter in this movie.
I like Nebula a lot. I always thought she was cool.
Fun fact about her, first off, she was in Doctor Who before being in this, and I guess that's kind of maybe where she was more known for. And she is, her name is Karen Gillian, the actress, and she was in the later Jumanji movies. Her stunt woman was named Olivia Jackson. Or the stunt woman for Nebula in the first movie was Olivia Jackson. She suffered a traumatic brain injury and had a left arm injury that led to amputation, as well as multiple fractures to the left side of her face, which required reconstructive surgery. These injuries occurred when she was struck by a misplaced camera crane while performing a motorcycle stunt during an upcoming Sonic movie show film, Resident Evil: The Final Chapter.
So that's her. I've heard about that story, but I didn't know who. I didn't know it was like
the stunt woman for Nebula in, I guess, the first movie, maybe not this movie. Okay. Yeah, got beat the fuck up filming one of the upcoming movies we're gonna watch.
Too,
probably.
Yeah, so we'll have to maybe once we do the episode dig into that more to see.
Yeah, I am way more interested now. When I saw Resident Evil, I'm like, say no more. This is going on the docket. Also, we talked about how Drax took him 90 minutes to get into makeup. It took Karen Gillian 2.5 hours to get into makeup for this movie. It took her 5 for the first one.
Jesus Christ.
Insane. I would have been like, wait, you're putting me in the next 2 Avengers movie? I have to get in the makeup again? How much am I getting paid?
Like, what do they do during that time, man? Like, the patience they have to have. Yeah,
I would hope that one of the last things they do is their hands, so you can at least be on your phone
or like have the TV on.
I don't know how much you can
or something. Yeah,
do something. Man,
shout out to them. But I think like people forget of like how hard it is for these people who do all the makeup and stuff. Because there's also people who paint and do that too, who also do the 5 hours. And on these people, and like if they mess up, that takes time. And
absolutely.
And I guess that's why you have, like, I heard that for Thor: Love and Thunder there, that Natalie Portman's, at least in the trailer, it looks like her helmet is CGI'd on.
Oh, really?
Which I hope not, because I'm like, really? That's my one issue I have with, like, the newer Marvel movies. I feel like they're doing more and more, like, green screen CGI shit, when at least, like, James Gunn seems to, like, have, like, a good design team to like, okay, this is where we'll have sets, and if we are using CG, like, he does it in a more like the look of this movie is so good compared to like some of the more recent Marvel movies I've seen. Like, it just, like, I know it's fake, but it has like a aesthetic to it that is like, I know this is supposed to be a little
bit of uncanniness.
It's
it also hurts when half of these fuckos' helmets materialize on them. They don't pick something up and put it on. You know what I mean? Tony Stark with the nano machines, and even Peter Quill with the thing. But talk about a really great example between what you can tell is clearly CG and what clearly isn't. compare Zoe Saldana's green paint body to the upcoming She-Hulk trailer where she is CG, and she looks CG. She looks fake. But this is very much she's painted green. You know what I mean?
Cool,
in this movie.
and it's good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I just feel like, I don't know. I think it's just it's scaring me with like it's like Attack of the Clones, you know, at the time where it was just like, I get they're trying to push in a new direction, but it's also, it looks like it's cheap sometimes, and it just, come on, like, you can still put some physical props in here and there, but
an argument to be made as to why this might be good is you compare Attack of the Clones and the two adjacent movies to it in the Star Wars universe. Those were digitally filmed at 1080p. We will never get a proper 4K version of that film because they did not capture that much information with their cameras. You could compare the desire of George Lucas then to just make fun movies to what might be, and I'm not going to necessarily level this as a criticism on Disney, but an assumptive desire to see everything that they touch and do as potential ways to make money down the line. We have all of this, we have terabytes and terabytes and exobytes even of data from filming this movie. They could, if everything was, if his helmet was CG on his face in this film, which I guarantee was, to some extent, they could find those project files and make it look better in the future. If they really want, they could redo a background. They could redo this. Yeah. They could redo that. Now, for the sake of preservation, sounds like a nightmare. How many films from the past, even before this, had been touched up by even George Lucas with the original Star Wars? That's like, if you want to get your hands on the original version, it's going to be very hard to. But I can see someone at Disney being like, hold on to everything, because in 20 years, we're going to redo this shit. Because I guarantee Disney has sat down with Pixar and said, hey, how much of the original Toy Story do you have? Because we could reanimate that film based off stuff you have. You know what I mean? Yeah. They do that with games because they have the physical data for them. Do they have that with movies? I bet Disney keeps that shit now because they see that as something they can redo. And, you know, they reissue this movie in 20 years in theaters again because it has all new graphics. Yeah. I can see that. Whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, I also know that, like, a lot of the talent and the labor to make green screen or movies with green screen, it's cheaper because they're not unionized either. So that's another concern I have, is like that they're just going to go around all these people who are unionized and whatnot, and they're like, oh, we'll go after the cheap labor who's going to just CGI everything too. And that's probably an easier skill to find talent for because that ties in with so many other industries, games included. It's the same tech. Oh, well, okay, that's a huge exaggeration. But you know, it's the same skills used to make 3D environments in a game. I mean, like, one of the fun facts I didn't write down for this is Ego, the living planet itself. I don't know if this means all of the scenes of the outside areas or if they had an entire model they used or whatnot. It was made up of 1 trillion polygons. And like that is considered at the time to be the most extensive polygonal effect in a film. Video games have characters that have more polygons than that. That's how crazy video games are. You get so many people already know these skills. It's probably very easy to hire people that can make a Star Wars background. Yeah. And, you know, the inside of a spaceship, than people that might know how to physically make that. I love physical sets because I feel like there's a weight to them and a presence that feels timeless that you can easily walk away with Attack of the Clones if you don't have, you know, good CG stuff. So we are sitting in the forest right now on this planet, Devin, and we are deciding, you know what? Some of us need to sit here with the ship because we can't just leave the ship. And some of us need to go see if this daddy from space is really daddy from space. So the team splits up. Quill, Gamora, Mantis, obviously, and Drax follow Ego on his little egg pod ship, while Rocket stays with Nebula on the destroyed ship that he's slowly fixing. And Groot, baby Groot. The baby Alpha motherfucking Groot. Exactly. He also looks very sad to see Gamora walk away. But yes, we split up. Rocket is in the woods, and the Ravagers show up, and Rocket has jerry-rigged so many random traps and just ways to have fun. Rocket previously has had a couple harsh exchanges of words with Peter. They're trying to set up how, Rocket is the other main character of this film, I think. Maybe James Gunn has said something like that too, to an extent, but I can easily see that being the case because his character growth is more so than what Drax has, and more so even with what Nebula and Gamora share, of him actually growing as a person because he's a douchebag. Yeah. And he pushes people away, and he doesn't know why. He just instinctively does so. Because when they split up, it's been a whole night. The bickering him and Peter had were like nothing. It's been a whole night. And he immediately starts it back up again for no reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, he has this moment being, I guess, Rambo in the woods, taking on all these people non-lethally, which I found interesting. Non-lethally. But he's eventually taken over anyway because Yondu and the Ravagers were hired by the Sovereign to get the Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever. And then they have a mutiny. They split. They are torn. When they find out that he's not actually going to turn them in, they're just going to sell the batteries for less money than what they were being offered for them. A dude named Taserface takes the charge. This isn't necessarily a character James Gunn made up. Apparently, he's a character in the comics. I don't know if the name necessarily is what is in the comics. That'd be amazing if it was. This is a verbatim piece of trivia I found on IMDb. So I'm going to read this verbatim. In the Guardians of the Galaxy comics, Taserface is a warrior from the cybernetically enhanced race known as the Stark. The Stark are an alien race that found Iron Man technology that had accidentally crashed on their planet, and as a result, they worship Tony Stark as their god.
Holy shit.
You know how there's always the fun science fiction things of like, what if alien technology lands on the planet that jumpstarts our technology? Yeah. It's like, what if one of his fucking missiles lands on this planet and they're like, yeah. So that's an interesting piece of information. Yeah. Their race is called the Stark because of that. How weird. But yes, they take them to the ship. We're now on Ego.
Also, Nebula was the one that kind of saved Rocket there.
True. True.
She kind of she basically she's the one that shoots Yondu his headpiece thing off. Yeah. She quickly shows that she's a person to be reckoned with. You don't want to push her buttons.
Exactly.
Because she's a robot.
And actually, she wants to keep Rocket alive because she wants to turn them in for their bounty so she can pay for expensive weaponry to take on Thanos. We kind of learn later. So she has a reason for keeping Rocket alive. But yeah, they're about to just basically unload on each other. And yeah, there is a mutiny. We're kind of skipping ahead here, but we might as well. A whole bunch of people jettisoned out of the ship. It's really awful.
Yeah, it's
to look at.
Up. Yeah,
yeah, very, very fucked. And now there's a lot less people to run the ship, so I guess that means more people have to work now. That's what new management does. They fire a whole bunch of the previous
don't
people.
Hire anyone else.
Exactly.
Maybe one or two people, but
they're outsourcing head talent. This weird blue lady showed up.
She's the new business manager, and obviously the CEO changed, but he has a new business manager. She's your supervisor now, and then obviously you have the new head boss. And
it's like when a CEO fails a company, but because he has so much experience, another company hires him as a CEO. So you get a failed fuck up just hopping from a CEO position, golden parachuting onto another tower that's collapsing beneath him. Yeah, that's what she is. But yes, and Sean Gunn saves the day. And they get a new ship and they leave and everything blows up. And Yondu is apparently the most powerful Marvel character with that fucking arrow.
He's that is OP as fuck.
That's why they had to kill him. Yeah. That's not why, but good thing they killed him because boom, Captain America's dead. Boom, Iron Man's dead. Boom, Thanos is dead. Of course, it wouldn't have burrowed through his skin. Thanos? They would say something like that. It wouldn't have burrowed through his skin. Who knows? or he would have caught it. You know, there'd be all sorts of ways to write around power
would've
levels
ate it.
in these.
He has a big
He would've made
mouth,
that
so I was
sound.
wondering, like, he probably could take a big chomp.
Exactly. In that scene where he's yelling in pain, as you see that gif every now and then, he's like, ah.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's got a
And
big, big
I
mouth.
did see a meme the other day where, like, because he cooks in Endgame, like he's cooking
Yeah.
something when he comes, and everyone's like, "What is he cooking?" That's a question like that we'll never know the answer to.
That's a meme? What is he cooking? This is just a question. Whatever.
What Thanos cooking?
We get that cute scene of Baby Groot not understanding basic directions. Of course, it was very complicated at first. Where's the captain's quarters? This is a child.
Yeah,
You know?
but he kept grabbing. I love the toe. That's where it's just
Exactly.
Like, we're not going to speak of this. That was great.
Exactly. Yeah, they hang on that for the perfect amount of time before Rocket says, "You don't have a fridge somewhere with human toes, do you?" But and then eventually, when they're taking everyone down, Baby Groot does throw a man to his death, but it's deserved because there's that awful torture scene where they dump beer on his head, and they really, and then
gets
like he's
waterboarded,
just so
basically.
sad. I mean, he's because it cuts from that scene to him very sadly walking,
It's
and he
the
stumbles
slowest
upon
walk
their
of all
cell.
time. Yeah,
It's the Charlie Brown music plays in Arrested Development when Michael Cera's walking sad. It's just so sad walking. You really feel like, man, they beat this kid up. But they also want him to be their mascot, and he can't take the clothes off. I empathize with Groot. I sympathize with Groot because I think sympathy is situation, empathy is emotion, right?
yeah.
I sympathize with Groot. I don't have claustrophobia, but I have some sort of phobia that's about being restrained, specifically by clothing.
You don't like BDSM.
No, oh my god, I would hate that. The idea of not being able to move your body is what I
You don't
am
have
so
that,
afraid
You don't
of.
have that autonomy, physical autonomy to do anything. Yeah.
Quicksand, terrified of not being able to move. And it sprang for me being in the back of the fucking car in a fucking winter jacket, and it's too hot, and I can't move. I can't take it off. I'm stuck in
So
there.
specific.
Oh my god. That's the earliest memory I have of this fear. Oh man, and I didn't do anything with it. I just stewed in it and died on the inside. What's happening in the other plane with the other main characters? We are on Ego's planet. He's showing us everything. He's telling us of his origins.
He has a 4D PowerPoint presentation of his whole like
He's got like a wax museum.
of his life.
Yeah.
Creepy.
I do like that. I do actually appreciate that they very quickly establish that he is the planet, and they didn't
Yeah.
leave it as a mystery. You know, like, no, he is the planet. That's it. Like, you're here. But he recreated this body, and that's like, I guess he's like, I think it's implied that he doesn't have an omniscient sense of everything on the planet. He created sensory organs, you know, in a person to inhibit part of his brain or whatever.
Yeah.
But he is the planet, but he doesn't exactly know where everyone is or anything.
Thank
like
God,
that.
because that'd be bullshit. Then they wouldn't have been able.
Then
to...
they'd have to write around so many reasons why, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he shows us all this stuff, and you know, Drax and Mantis connect a little bit. Peter and Ego connect a little bit. He finally gets to play catch with his dad, you know.
And they set that up earlier by him saying,
Yeah.
when he tells Gamora in the woods that, like, I just want someone to throw the ball to, basically. And then he has that exact moment. I'm just like, God damn it.
See, if James Gunn was truly a film aficionado and lover, he would have somehow, when they're playing catch, referenced The Room, where it feels like half of that movie is just dudes very poorly throwing a ball back and forth while they talk.
So bad.
Yeah.
Like, they never... He never threw a football in his life until that movie.
Yeah. No, he's from Poland, but he claims he's from Tennessee. That's a fun fact about Tommy Wiseau. He claims he's an American-born man. Man is clearly from Poland.
He's been playing a bit his entire life, and it's just amazing to me.
No one knows how he was able to afford making that movie. It's almost scary. No one knows how he got that money.
Someone in the industry, like someone made him as like it's a movie within a movie. Like he is a movie. like in physical form. So they just made him to make that.
Exactly.
Like I wouldn't be surprised
Exactly.
if James Franco somehow was the one that actually made him from the very beginning, so he can make that one movie.
That movie came because the guy that not James Franco plays, but the Mark in that scene,
Yeah.
Hi Mark,
Yeah.
he was friends with Wiseau,
And he wrote a book, right?
and he wrote a book and
Yeah.
and sold that.
As I'm
But
saying, like, I wonder, like,
Yeah.
that's the level of like I would believe it. Like, if they're like
Another fun fact.
came out that it was all set up so they could make that movie later on.
there's been a billboard for like decades for that movie up in L.A. that they finally took down, I guess, that he'd been just paying for forever to keep up, and it's just his face creepily staring. But one funny fact: he wanted to be an actor, but he wanted to be the leading man and no one else. No one was ever going to cast him, so that's why he made the movie. But he wrote a script for a play first, then realized he can't sing. So then he changed it to a book. The Room was initially also a book, and then when it became a movie script, he just took the book. And it was so long that it made no sense. Let's hop back to this movie. Fun tangent. Okay, other fun fact about The Room. The only reason why we know about this movie, besides if you were in LA, you would have seen the billboard. It ran for a weekend in one movie theater in LA. That was it. That's the only way he could get it to go. Adult Swim got their hands on it, and in 2004, on April Fool's Day, they marathoned that movie for 24 hours straight. And that's why it became famous. It's because of Adult Swim. They got like TV rights, which I'm sure were super cheap to it, and they ran it as a joke.
Insane.
But yes, Drax and Mantis have funny scenes between them where she has zero interaction with anyone else besides this person, so she does not know how to communicate with people. And Drax is very very blunt, says things exactly as they are, very literal about things, but also has a little bit of meaning to it when he says, you're ugly, but that's a good thing, because when someone says they love you, they mean it.
So
like, huh? But then he says beautiful. He says something like beautiful people have it harder, or something like that, just introspectively to
some sort of
himself.
trust thing, yeah.
His character, it has good growth, and he went through the revenge arc for his family in the first movie, so it wasn't that he was just funny and that was it in the first movie, but he's in more ways where it isn't about himself in this movie that I enjoy. But yeah, so it's been a while since, at this point in the movie, it had been a while since when Rocket and Yondu and Groot are free from the Ravagers and they had back. Basically, they're all killed. All the people on his side were killed by all the people he just killed. It's literally just Sean Gunn that's left alive.
Yeah.
It's a lot of ship to maintain by yourself. So it had been a long point at this point where Mantis and Drax are fighting, and Gamora has a fight with Peter, and she stomps off. And then a ship comes flying, and I thought it was them, Rocket and Yondu. And no, it was Nebula, because I forgot she left earlier.
Yeah.
Like a long time ago.
I like this scene that it kind of like, you see her in the distance and it gets closer. And you see it, if you look carefully, you can see it like slowly coming in. And then out of nowhere, she's just getting shot at. And my favorite part, I think it was one of my favorite like Marvel scenes, was while this fight is happening, eventually because the ship goes underground, like she gets into a cave and it, like parts of it break off and like one of the guns breaks off, is that she just fucking picks up that shit.
Exactly.
And she like
hot wires
it, and then she's just she's yelling like it's shooting like whatever bullets it fucking uses.
And
at
you
her.
forget that she has super strength. I honestly forgot the first time I saw them. Like, how? But then, like, because I saw the first movie again later. I'm like, oh yeah, she's a daughter of Thanos. She has the super strength,
but
or whatever.
It doesn't even matter to me.
It doesn't even matter.
It's cool. It's just a great like. It's just like one of those shots that I'm like, yeah, like it's probably my favorite shot in this movie, where she's just looking badass and she's just going straight for the kill when she's shooting at her sister there. So that's dope.
I forget the name of the movie, but the part in this movie where she realizes that that's her sister or whatever gets about to fire and she's running away, that's inspired by the very famous scene from the very famous movie where the airplane's flying towards him and he's running towards the camera. The airplane flies over him. Forgot what it was.
It's in an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yes, it is. It is an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Is it North by Northwest? Is that the name of it? No.
I don't remember what the name of it is.
I can look it up later.
But yeah, that's what it's inspired by. But I'm sure there's so many scenes in this movie that are inspired by things James Gunn liked, none of which were The Room, so I'm disappointed in that. But yes, they fight like you say.
North by Northwest. Yeah, that's it.
It was North by Northwest. Yeah. Okay. My brain kept telling me the birds, even though no, it's a plane. It's not a bird.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah. So then 3 separate groups of people each come to the realization that Ego's a bad person all at once. And I love how it all builds upon each other for the sake of the audience. And each of the characters fill in the blanks off screen, but we as the audience get the whole picture together. Where Ego tells Quill about their purpose, that he's basically just wants to be everything in the universe. Very egotistical of himself. Mantis finally tells Drax about the planet, and Gamora and Nebula find the piles and piles of bones intact of Ego's other kids. All of the other bastard children, just like Peter there. But we, as the audience, get the full build-up together. And yeah, when he tells Peter basically he killed his mother, that's when he snaps out of it. I love it.
I love that immediate gut reaction. He's just immediately, because he's so traumatized by it, and heartbroken from it, he just immediately pulls out his gun and starts blasting the shit out of him. And I will say, James Gunn somehow can get away with a lot of shit in a PG-13 Disney movie.
Yeah,
because there's a severed thumb, there's sexual themes or toe, whatever, and there's literally gore. I would say when he gets shot, he's literally getting vaporized. Chunks of him are getting vaporized off, and I do love I think later on, he literally gets transformed from a skeleton to a.
Looks very Mortal Kombat X though.
Yeah,
it looks very video gamey as the skeleton.
I love it though. It looks cool. Around, makes him scarier.
Yeah,
it makes him more. Sure. It makes him more godly, I guess.
Well, also the blobs around the planets, when they just all of a sudden go into super speed and just destroy everything, I'm like, holy fuck. Earth has so many. We don't know anything about the superheroes yet, but all of a sudden there is a giant blob now that destroyed a Dairy Queen in half of Missouri, it feels like. And then also, if you saw Eternals, there's just a giant man in the ocean now that's frozen solid that pops up out of nowhere.
There's also an alien race that was led by a Greek or a god from Norse mythology. Okay, there's so much shit happening within
and there's shapeshifter people on the planet
within
from Captain Marvel since
years.
The 90s.
Yeah,
exactly.
You thought 9/11 was bad? Just you wait.
Oh fuck yeah. We've also had these powerful stones on the planet. Half of them from the whole universe are on Earth. That's how special we are. But we don't take care of our planet. Yeah. Oh, that's where I stopped writing down notes. But essentially, everything it's a lot of fighting and stuff. We get the different planes of action.
One of my other favorite scenes is on Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yep, exactly. Is he cool?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to tell him it's a girl or anything like that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's cool.
Exactly. I love it. And I love it too. What makes him look like Mary Poppins in that scene is his feet are flat. As if he's standing, because that's how they did it for Mary Poppins. She just stood somewhere.
Green
you know
screen
what I mean?
Or whatever it was.
Yeah, or whatever they did. Yeah, exactly. Awesome movie, by the way. I still love that movie. And Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Or that movie was called. It's a very similar vibe. But yeah, there's a lot of that. They did too much in the trailers, but Baby Groot with the bomb. Yeah. I remember being in the trailers and then realizing that that's basically we're defeating the bad guy scenes. I'm like, oh man, but it's cute. Baby Groot.
I love the duct tape
marketing.
Scene.
Yeah.
Let me go and I love that he did it just brings you back down to Earth, haha. Brings you back down to all the characters. Granted, one of them does die, but generally speaking, the stakes are high. But there's that there's still that goofy just I don't want to say distraction. What's the term? So that it's not just he's not like compared to like Avengers, Infinity War, where like Thanos comes and it's like, no, there is no bullshitting. There's no like comedy anymore. Like everyone's dying. He's a big threat, and like this is a big threat. I would say just as big of a threat as Thanos, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But they're just super casual about it. You know, and I just thought that was cool. That like, okay, we're still kind of a comedy movie first, for the most part. Do you have any duct tape? No,
For sure.
You know, and they're just arguing.
And it goes on for a while, and it doesn't feel bad. It feels good.
Yeah.
Like it could easily have hung on for too long, but it doesn't.
And by that time,
and
Groot's running towards it.
Yeah, he's already left. He's like, I'd fuck these guys or whatever. And then the Sovereign's drones show up, so now like that's why we got the start in the first place, because they were just going to use the laser on the core and go straight in, and it was working too. Because then I saw that, I'm like, but then why didn't work for some reason? Because it looks like it's working now. Oh, okay, now they're being shot at. So
there's always a third party with them. I think that was the case in the first movie as well. It's like they're just constantly being chased or in trouble with someone.
Well,
else.
You make that many enemies, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even sync up their plans. They just happen to be upon you at the same time. We're fighting and we're shooting, and people are falling down below, and then they're riding pillars up into the sky, and then there's this and that. At one point, Ego begins to win, and everyone's being crushed.
Groot cries, which I didn't notice until
that actually hurt. Like I'm seeing, like Drax sinking in the sand, and he's holding Mantis up so that she doesn't, drown in sand or suffocate. And everyone's being pushed down. For a second, it looked like that Yondu dies from it, But then, seeing just Baby Groot being crushed by that matter, it's like, oh no, that's awful. And then I feel like the weakest part in the action stuff for this movie is the Superman fight that he has with Kurt Russell. Chris Pratt and Kurt Russell.
At least
just
they have
fly around.
the Pac-Man with
but like that was the only creative part about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just Superman flying through buildings.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, which is lame. But that movie also did not handle Superman well. But like that was lame. I felt like he could have been more creative in how he took care of him.
At least it doesn't go on too long. Like they didn't do that the entire time.
And they cut to other people too.
Yeah. To
be fair. So, but yeah, I just felt like he could have been more creative, since literally he says, I'm going to make some weird shit, and all he makes is Pac-Man. And then it's like, when did Pixels come out? Hopefully he did this before the Pixels movie that had the giant stupid Pac-Man.
I think that was like a year later, yeah. God. Hey, but one man's Pixels is another Uncut Gems.
That's true. Creator of Pac-Man was actually in that movie, but not as the creator of Pac-Man. He was like a janitor in some scene. And yeah, the thing explodes. Everyone's like, oh man, we did it, yay. Yondu sacrifices himself to save Quill.
And he has another great line, which is he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy, which is still one of my favorite quotes from this movie as well. So many good quotes.
Yeah.
Shout out to the writer's room.
Yep. Couple fun facts. When they're laying down the space Viking funeral looking thing, those belts they made themselves by actually cutting material instead of just getting colored belts. And Michael Rooker, which is his name, the actor, fell asleep on the thing. He fell asleep during that scene.
Danny had a long day.
He's just laying there. I mean, he's got something over his eyes.
Yeah, I'm saying it's long day on sets and stuff. You're probably exhausted most days.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he also, tie it back to Vin Diesel, he's also Vin Diesel's father in Fast 9.
Right. No, he's not. Yeah, he's not his father in Fast 9. He is his father's friend.
Oh yeah, it's like mechanic
that
man.
had seen it.
Okay, still he's still he's part of the lore. He's part of the lore as well. We keep forgetting. Kurt Russell's there, and everyone's connected in these movies. God damn it,
it's all connected. It's all connected. That's the movie. It ends with the last scene before post-credit stuff is Rocket with a tear in his eye, and it ends.
By the way, off this podcast, I've always told Bryn that there's two ways I want to be buried, and one's more expensive, and the other one is more like very traditional. And the first one,
I want you and our son to take my ashes to the tallest mountain.
No. The first one is shoot me into space, and the second one was
expensive.
If we live in the middle of nowhere You can just bury me like next to a stream or something near a mountain. That'd be cool. Whatever. You can basically Logan me. You can just Logan me, put some rocks over me, and call it a day.
Right.
But after watching this again, I'm like, if the space one is, if you want to go a little extra, you can like do that. Do a space Viking funeral. That'd be kind of cool.
Do fireworks in space.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
And have everyone have everyone invited. Everyone can come
and then
in
Stallone shows up, and the dude
I want
from Mission
Sylvester
Impossible shows
Stallone
up,
to show
and
up.
Michelle Yeoh shows up. Yeah, exactly.
Devin, what a great guy.
And I love that there is 4 or 5 post-credit scenes in this movie, and the way the credits, it feels like they had 5 different versions of the credits.
They liked all of them,
graphics,
so they
and
just
they
said,
just
fuck it,
used them all.
Yeah.
I don't actually care about any of them. I don't really care for any of them. There is a song that plays during, I guess, the last section of the credits that is credited to the Sneepers featuring David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
It is called Guardians Inferno. It is David Hasselhoff singing.
I was gonna say the lyrics remind me of the plot, so I'm like, oh, I didn't. But then now it makes sense.
When he says, "I didn't learn parenting. My daddy was a planet."
Yeah.
The Sneepers is not a band. In September of 2015, director James Gunn, this is another IMDb verbatim thing. So in 2015, he said in a Facebook post that he wanted to use the Sneepers, an alien race that first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1964, as background characters in this film. He was advised against it by Marvel's legal department because the name Sneeper was too similar to Sneepur, the Icelandic word for clitoris. Nevertheless,
it's so
he did
dumb.
it with this name.
You let Yondu, you inferred that he slept with sexy yellow robot women.
Right. But you can't have someone that sounds like
clitoris in Iceland.
Like clitoris.
That is like maybe 1 million people, not even.
Well, hold on. They're still just as valuable as 1 million
I
of
know
us.
they are, but I'm saying like they would have found it funny.
I would hope so.
I would have found
they
funny.
cleared it anyway. But the only reason why is because he said it in a Facebook post. So he publicized it. He goes, I'm thinking about putting these Sneepers in this film. So they were like, oh, well, he fucking said it, so I guess we have to. But then they also said that Nathan Fillion was going to be in the movie, and he didn't.
Thought. Like that happened. Once again, if we're all one brain, I love that at least the one brain created that moment where he's just like, these Sneeper guys, I think that'd be kind of cool. Just put in a movie.
Hey, let's throw this bracket in there right now. The one brain mind, very similar to the simulation vibe.
Fuck, dude.
It feels more plausible than a computer, an organic brain.
That's how the Matrix was. The robots, they were all controlled by one like.
I only saw the first one.
Sentient...
I still need to watch the other 5, 6,
3.
But yeah, 3. Well, Animatrix is kind of like its own thing, right?
I don't know.
That is the movie. I almost said the Chronicles of Riddick. Jesus, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
I guess Riddick could be in this universe. Like it could make sense.
Probably just one of the random movies. But yeah, let's talk about this movie a little bit. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I like it better than the first movie. I think this is one of the higher tier Marvel movies for sure, in terms of its humor, in terms of the actual story it's trying to tell with interpersonal relationships. I actually feel like it has a message when there are Marvel movies that fail to do so. Higher, Further, Faster, Baby doesn't really feel like a message that Captain Marvel has, even though I like that movie. And what was Iron Man 3's message? Don't be a drunk dad. I don't know.
Don't be a drunk. It's the holidays.
Exactly right. So yeah, I think this was one of the better Marvel movies for sure. If you were to, Thanos snap away half of the films, don't snap this one away. What about you? What do you think about this film?
I personally like the first one just by a little bit more, just because I've always liked the start of journey, start of new character movies. This movie I think relies a lot on prior knowledge. So I think as a standalone film, it might struggle in that department. Like, who the fuck are these guys? I do think the comedy is a little bit better in this movie, but once again, I think it's building off of the first movie. I like Kurt Russell a lot more as a bad guy than Ronan and Roman and Ronan and all the different Ronans of Marvel. But I just like the beginning movie. I just think it has a little bit more charm to it, but it's so like I could flip flop. You know what I
Very
mean?
close.
It's so close. I
like the
both of them.
soundtrack in this movie better. And they got a George Harrison song in there.
Yeah.
So
But it just makes me more excited for the Christmas special that's supposed to be coming out.
that's right. That's supposed to be this year.
Yeah. And then the third movie, I don't know when that's supposed to come out. I know
That's
he's
supposed to
he
be
is
next
filming
year.
it though, so it's not like it's been like in production
Yeah.
hell. Like he's been tweeting about it because
Yeah.
he just wrapped up Peacekeeper, kind of like going through that whole.
I bet in hindsight, Disney is probably happy that Guardians 3 is essentially delayed till now because they fired him, because like it's been a very weird, like, it just feels like they're throwing things out quickly to try to keep the pace going, as opposed to like,
Yeah,
oh man, the hits are coming.
outside of Spider-Man, like Eternals was
Yeah, Shang-Chi was,
fine.
it felt random. It didn't feel connected, but I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, you know, but
Black Widow felt like, oh, you forgot about this one, sure. I like Doctor Strange.
that was cool. That was one of the better ones in the last couple years, but like still it wasn't like holy shit either.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For sure.
but all these movies, along with Suicide Squad and Peacekeeper, and I low key want to watch the Scooby Doo movies again just to see, because he has an aesthetic, he has an auteur kind of vision for how he makes movies. There's always a slow motion shot, and I'm not going to spoil Peacekeeper, but there's another element of that is in these movies as well that I liked, and hopefully he does more of. So I'm just I like his filmography, so I like these movies. I don't think he hasn't made a bad thing, I feel like, that in the last 10 years.
There is a kind of gross part in that Scooby-Doo movie, I remember, the first one, where when they all body swap, Fred is in Daphne's body, and he says he's going to look in a mirror naked. It's like, bro, this is your friend's body you're talking about.
There's no agency.
Like, this is a little weird. I
think I remember that line, because he says it in like a very like insidious way, where it's just like, I'm gonna look at
myself naked.
Yeah.
And we were also kids, so it probably stuck out more, too.
Yeah. It's also
That,
2002 comedy.
And in the second movie, only thing I remember about the second movie, because I thought it was awkwardly bad and embarrassing, but that was the point, is Velma goes on a date or something, and her outfit's like leather or something like that, and like it makes farting noises, and she's embarrassed about that, like squeaking around. So that was another thing. But yes, those are movies he made. Now we're gonna rank this movie on two separate lists. We have on the Chronicles of Diesel the movie ranking list, which does include video games. 35 total things. We're going to be adding a 36 today. We also have a Vin Diesel performance ranking. We'll talk about Vin Diesel's performance in a second after we rank it with the movie ranking list. So I'm going to read off the 35 total things. I recommend folks you go to our Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. One of the most recent posts we'll have.
We just tweeted out actually before this recording, so it'll be
Perfect.
right there.
Yeah, from a few days ago, essentially. Our current rankings in image form. You can see these pictures. Please look at these, because I got 35 things to read off. All right.
I've watched all of them, and I think even you reading them out, like I can't. If I didn't have the list, I'd be like, I don't remember where all these are.
Absolutely. It's 35 things. And number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2, Saving Private Ryan. Number 3, Fast 5. Number 4, The Fate of the Furious. Number 5, Fast and Furious 6. Number 6, Furious 7. Number 7, Triple X. Number 8, The Fast and the Furious. Number 9, Triple X Return of Xander Cage. Number 10, The Iron Giant. Number 11, Riddick. Number 12, Awakenings. Number 13, Fast and Furious. Number 14, A Man Apart. Number 15, Find Me Guilty. 16, Boiler Room. 17, The Chronicles of Riddick. 18, Pitch Black. 19, The Last Witch Hunter. 20, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. 21, Vin Diesel. 22, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. 23, Knockaround Guys. 24, Wheelman. 25, The Pacifier. 26, Babylon AD. 27, Los Bandoleros. 28, The Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena. 29, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. 30, Multifacial. 31, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. 32, Strays. 33, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, See You Again. 34 Fast and Furious Supercharged, and 35 Riddick Blindsided.
That was actually one of the things he posted on Instagram I didn't mention because it doesn't really show too much, but it looks like a screenplay of, or a, not screenplay, screenplay of the next Riddick movie, but it's just a picture of, like, him. And it says something about his son or something, but I'm like, whatever, we'll figure that out when it gets to it.
Okay. Okay. I feel like if I think that this movie's better than the first one, naturally this has to be number one on my personal list.
Yeah.
If I were to take this list and add it in there, what are you thinking?
Like I said, it's like I go back and forth.
This is a really well-made movie.
Yeah.
So
I go back and forth. Like I said, I prefer the first one, but it's not. It's so close. Like Vin Diesel has said, you win sometimes by an inch, you know. So
an inch or a mile, winning is winning.
Yeah. So I'm okay putting it at number one, but I also I'd say number two.
I'd say if you are super close and I'm over it, then if you add the points and divide by 2, this is number one, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Let's just do number one.
It's number one.
Yeah.
All right.
Number
one is
it'll probably be our
Guardians of the
last
Galaxy
number
Volume 2.
one. Up at I know we have Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame coming up, but I still think I'm going to prefer these more over those because I've only seen both those movies once because they're hella long.
They are. I think I might have seen them twice, but twice being years ago.
Yeah. Last time we saw Endgame was literally in theaters.
I think I saw it twice in theaters, yeah, and
So
that
it's
was it for me. I don't think I saw it on video. Vin Diesel was in this movie as Baby Groot. He said various things such as Baby Groot and How do we think he did?
I mean...
Keep in mind, he did it 16 times.
Yeah, he did up the ante from the last time. He did do 16 different languages there. So that's impressive. Granted, we didn't watch all those other versions, and nor are we going to. Nor would we even know if they were correct, because we don't speak those languages. So, I don't know. We know that he didn't do any...
We have to call in to 15 other people from around the world that watched those versions of the movie.
He didn't do any of the mocap, right? Compared to the first movie?
He did not, no.
So I think that's a step down. Not saying it's his fault, but the requirements were less, and he did do a little bit more different languages, but that is a little bit different than doing mocap along with doing the voice acting. And voice acting, we've said before, it's in kind of its own area. I don't want to say it's better than acting, but I would say acting is probably harder.
Different effort.
Because we've watched The Iron Giant and we ranked that a little bit lower, even though we think he did a good job at that. But it's just kind of hard to put that. But then he's done, video games where he's saying sentences, multiple sentences, not just raw and all that shit. In Iron Giant, So I don't know. It's kind of. I'm kind of just
I would say I preferred if we compare to the first movie.
Yeah.
I think I liked his performance in the first movie more. I think he had more screen time because I think It's a Talking Tree was something that they hung on more in the first movie for impact. So I think he had less screen time overall, even though there's going to be way more and is way more. I actually don't know this for a fact. I assume there's way more Baby Groot merchandise than Groot merchandise because Baby Groot was the marketing for the movie. It was Baby Groot. Let's not kid ourselves here. Still, then, though, I feel like previous one was better in performance than this one.
Yeah, I agree.
He does say an extra word. He says "we" in the first movie. It's
but there's more languages.
But there's more languages, which is in turn.
But
more
he did
words.
mocap, I guess. I don't know how much in every scene because I have a feeling it wasn't every scene he did. But I think they had someone on set with them, doing whatever for Groot. So yeah, I'm kind of just indifferent on this. I knew going in that I wasn't even if I paid extra attention, it was he wasn't physically there, so it's kind of hard to gauge. And he says 3 words. Does he change the inflection? I think well
Absolutely.
enough. Yeah, I think.
Does he sound like a cute baby? Sure.
He did.
I don't know if there's any post process to that.
I think there is for sure. I think they definitely
there has to be
tuned it up.
But
or
I
down.
do think that the teenage Groot is most likely him doing it though. I don't think they needed to me. I am Groot. I think he could easily do that. If I can make it sound even something like that, he can do it easily.
Yeah, whatever.
Or maybe he did.
I am Groot.
Maybe
whatever,
he did.
Dad.
I am Groot.
I am Groot. I'm Groot.
Let's not start saying that yet. Last 20 minutes of this podcast will be us just saying I am Groot. And you have to know that what we're saying is correct. So Vin Diesel's performance ranking is as follows. Number 1, Triple X. Number 2, The Fast and the Furious. Number 3, Triple X Return of Xander Cage. Number 4, Fast and Furious. Number 5, Find Me Guilty. Number 6, Fast and Furious 6. Number 7, Riddick. Number 8, Furious 7. Number 9, A Man Apart. 10, Fast 5. 11, The Last Witch Hunter. 12, Pacifier. 13, The Chronicles of Riddick. 14, Babylon AD. 15, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. 16, Los Bandoleros. 17, The Fate of the Furious. 18, Guardians of the Galaxy. 19, Boiler Room. 20, Multifacial. 21, Pitch Black. 22, Knockaround Guys. 23, Strays. 24, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. 25, The Iron Giant. 26, Saving Private Ryan. 27, Dean Diesel. 28, The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. 29, The Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena. 30, Wheelman. 31, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. 32, Riddick Blindsided. 33, The Fast and Furious Supercharged. 34, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, See You Again. And 35, Awakenings. This is getting hard to do, Devin.
You're almost there. You're almost there. The light is actually at the end of the tunnel. Like, you can see the finish line.
He's going to release 7 straight-to-Netflix movies by the end of the year, and we're going to be so pissed.
It's going to be like he's going to be in Stranger Things 4, and we don't even know.
Oh, my God.
Like, it's going to be like a secret. Yeah. And each episode we have to rank, you know. He's great episode 5, but not episode 3.
Yeah, thank God this man isn't in TV shows. I think it is less than 18 Guardians of the Galaxy, which naturally puts it at its highest point at 19 for me. I think you were kind of on the same spot.
Below Guardians of the Galaxy.
Not necessarily saying it has to be right below. But they're so fucking similar. I guess, okay, let's compare this to The Iron Giant, which I struggle to remember sometimes.
He had more lines than that.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about character development.
Which he didn't have really any charge over. He didn't write it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He didn't. Yeah. Oh man.
When we do the Vin ranking, we also, if he produces a movie, we put that into
consideration.
Like, for example, last episode, The Fate of the Furious, you're probably listening.
When he tanks that movie, his reputation in that movie, and the production.
Because you might be your first episode you listen to, and you're probably wondering why we put Fate of the Furious so low. And it took me a half second to remember that, because he literally had so much beef with The Rock that The Rock has quit the Fast saga, at least working with him.
And just production of that film itself suffered because of his pettiness, it sounded like.
Yeah, so that's why that one got knocked down, even though despite that being one of his better acting performances.
For sure.
I think we should just, like, if we put Guardians of the Galaxy there, I feel like it makes sense to put it right below it. I mean, I guess I can hear an argument for Boiler Room because he does more shit in that.
He's more memorable in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 than, like, anything below it if we kept it at 19. I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but, like, it's an iconic Vin Diesel role, whether he wants it to or not. Baby Groot.
Yeah.
I am Groot.
I can't wait for Alpha Groot. Alpha Groot better be above Guardians of the Galaxy, though, if we put it at 19.
Alpha Groot better be such a triangular chested shape of a tree man, you know? Just this.
He has to be the Giga Chad dude, you know, like as a tree. Just tree, triangular, but he has like the broadest jaw, and somehow is handsome.
Goddamn right. I can't tell if that's a fake photo.
No,
or
it's
a real man.
It's a real man.
Jesus.
Yeah.
He built his life to that moment, that photo shoot.
Yeah.
There's no way his body sustained itself further after that.
It doesn't matter though. Like that is his destiny.
He's immortal.
He could die tomorrow and he'll be remembered.
Yeah.
Forever.
We all complain about the transphobia and J.K. Rowling's work, but it'll be far more remembered than any of us personally are. Harry Potter is immortal. We are but specks in the dust of his wake. We have 27 episodes we've gone through so far on this show. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 left before we...
What are they again? Let's recap those so people know.
So, next month, July 1st, you can look forward to an episode that covers Avengers Infinity War
so we're going right,
2018.
we're sticking with Marvel. 149 minutes.
Exactly. Then, August 1st has our last two-parter. Two things are being covered. Ralph Breaks the Internet, which he has a small Groot role in. I have never seen this. I saw the first one, but not the second. As well as Avengers Endgame, which he has a small role in. So both these small roles are being combined.
That shit. Fucking
That's 3 hours and 1 minute long. Then, September 1st has Bloodshot, which feels like coming home for us because that movie came out right when we started.
That was
the
our
podcast.
other, because we just did Fast and the Furious, which was our coming home off the podcast, but Bloodshot was our first movie that that was the start of the pandemic.
That was. October 1st, we'll have Fast and Furious Crossroads, the video game we both recently purchased.
Before
it is now delisted.
Before it disappeared.
It's delisted digitally. And I was afraid of physical copies being skyrocketed in price. They haven't, so you could go out and buy one in preparation for October 1st.
Or don't.
Yeah, Codemasters made that. They made a lot of double
Maybe
A
get it on
racing
GameFly
games
for a week.
I think they're selling it for about the price we paid for. So, and then November 1st was F9, The Fast Saga. But keep in mind, folks, that once we pass November 1st, any new Vin Diesel movies, such as Fast X, will be covered and the show will be brought back for that episode, for these movies. But
we have
we have
the holiday special we probably will have to do. But I think that'll be a 40-minute short.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, because that's coming out either late November or early December, so we'll be watching it, right after. And then,
honestly, it might just line up perfectly after F9, it looks like.
It might. It might. At some point this year, Arc 2 is supposed to come out. Same with that animated series.
If Arc 2 comes out, it's not going to have the shit with him in it, I don't think. He's been doing fast, he hasn't even talked about that. To have that just come out of nowhere, I feel like he would hype it up. Because we know he likes the game a lot, so, I feel like if it was coming out anytime soon, he would have...
My fear is he doesn't take this shit seriously. That he just coasts on a big name and he just wants to be a part of things, but doesn't...
He played the game. He had the
hold
booklet.
it with much respect.
Remember? On Instagram, he had that video of he was showing all the monsters.
I'm
dinosaurs.
Ever since last episode and the news that surrounded it, I'm just so,
the stock took a hit. The stock took a hit, but guess what? One thing about stocks is that they eventually go back up, right?
I think I'm Cougar at the beginning of Top Gun. I feel like I've been shaken too much and I need to quit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could be a
this
Maverick
has been a
who
very...
you thought you were going to quit, and then you...
Nope. Exactly, and he comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vin
And then he
Diesel
says he wants to be
Revenge
a teacher at the end of that movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. So, this has been a fun episode of the Chronicles of Riddick. Chronicles of Diesel. Fuck us. 5 left, guys. We're almost there. We are going to make it through.
We're going to be the only
entire
podcast
filmography.
that's done every fucking thing. And there might be someone else
single
out
thing.
there, but I don't believe it.
If they are, that I doubt that they fucking did the video games and the multifacial and...
There's only a couple we've missed because they just can't be found yet.
Well, that's the thing, too. So there is, since we're already talking about the future, there is TV shows and documentaries that he was not an actor in, but was a part of the producing and the directing of. We at one point had these in the docket to do, but we could not find The Ropes to watch, which was a TV series.
Yeah. And a War Hero was the other one?
It was a documentary, which we could not find.
Amazon. So, we even looked on eBay,
someone.
I think, at one point to try to find.
It's going to be this thing. We're going to have to steal these in order to watch them.
I tried
because
that,
how else
though.
are we
I tried
going to...
looking on even the sketchy sites. I didn't want to be going on. I couldn't find them. They were on Netflix. I think Netflix has them in a box somewhere. They're sitting on a shelf in their headquarters.
Can you get DVDs from Netflix still?
I don't know. I think if you're in Alaska, we'll have to get a P.O. box in Alaska and have someone...
DVD.netflix.com. Yeah, that's still a thing. Movies delivered. Okay, The Ropes. Nope. And that's what thing is. It exists as a DVD box set.
We did find it
I'm
on
pretty sure, or
Amazon, but it was
something.
only like a random assortment of episodes.
It wasn't all of them. Yeah.
So if someone out there does have a box set, please
Send them to P.O. Box.
Yeah, we don't have a P.O. box.
Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so that is the plan for the future. If we may decide to do those maybe in a special, maybe in a year or something. Maybe we'll
If they
do a
come out
special.
10 years from now that Netflix puts
I
them
don't know.
back up on Netflix, I'll keep an eye out, I guess. But
Because we want to say we did everything, Vin Diesel. We want to say that.
or we
did a
reach
fucking
out to Vin
movie
Diesel's agent, and be like, does he
ride.
have it burned on a disc somewhere that he can
Yeah.
send to us?
One of these days, we'll have an answer for you guys. We'll see you next month for Avengers Infinity War. Stay cool, stay classy. I am Groot.
What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race. Ride or die, remember?